The encounter in the tavern. In a dimly lit corner of a bustling intergalactic tavern, shadows danced across the walls, illuminated only by flickering neon lights and holographic advertisements. The air was thick with the scent of exotic spices and the low hum of conversation from patrons of various species. Among them sat Varric, a seasoned assassin from the feared Black Hand Guild, nursing a dark, frothy drink. His mandibles clicked rhythmically, a habit he had developed over years spent hunting in hostile environments. Across from him sat Jax, a jittery alien from the GNA species, his wide eyes darting nervously around the room. He leaned closer, lowering his voice to a whisper. "I need them dead." His tone was urgent, almost desperate. A human. They've interfered with things beyond their comprehension. Varric's eyes narrowed as he regarded Jax with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "We don't kill humans," he replied flatly, his mandibles stilling for a moment. Jax flinched, disbelief etched on his face. "That's impossible. You're Black Hand. You kill anything for the right price." Varric leaned back in his chair, a low growl emanating from his throat as he considered Jax's words. "Anything except humans," he stated firmly. Confusion washed over Jax's features as he sputtered. "Why? They're just mortals." His frustration was palpable as he slammed his fist on the table, causing nearby patrons to glance their way. Varric chuckled, a deep, throaty sound that carried more menace than mirth. "You can try," he warned, "but no one in the galaxy will take that contract. Not if they have any sense." Jax's voice trembled as anger faded into confusion. "Why? They can't be invincible." Varric leaned forward, his tone darkening with the weight of ancient history. "Humans aren't invincible," he explained slowly. "No, they bleed. They die. But killing one, it's not worth it. Not for you or anyone else." Jax's brow furrowed as he struggled to understand. "Then why not just hire someone else?" With an air of authority, Varric downed his drink in one long gulp before setting the glass down with a loud thud. He glanced around to ensure no one else was listening too closely before continuing his tale. "Have you ever heard of the Del Empire?" he asked quietly. Jax nodded slowly, recalling tales he had heard whispered in dark corners like this one, of an empire that ruled half the galaxy before its mysterious fall. Varric smiled grimly, his mandibles clicking again as he began to weave his story. Centuries ago, they were expanding like wildfire, conquering worlds, enslaving entire species, breaking armies as easily as snapping twigs. He paused for effect before adding ominously, "Then they set their sights on a small, unassuming system, the Sol system." Jax's eyes widened at this revelation. "Earth?" he asked incredulously. Varric nodded slowly. "At that time, humanity was still primitive, only just beginning to explore their own star system. To the Delpins, they seemed like easy prey, an easy conquest." He leaned back again, allowing Jax to absorb this information before continuing. "But it took them a month to subdue Earth, a month that should have been their first sign that something was amiss." "Why?" Jax pressed eagerly. "Because humans fought back," Varric replied emphatically. "Not like other species. They dug in and fought with every scrap of strength they had, even when they knew they were outmatched." He paused again for emphasis, letting Jax visualize humanity's desperate struggle against overwhelming odds. "But they were eventually enslaved," Jax interjected hesitantly. "True," Varric conceded with a nod. "The Delpins broke through human defenses and enslaved them, forcing them into labor camps." His voice dropped lower still, as if sharing a secret that could change everything. "But humans are patient," he continued. "They don't break like others do. They wait. They adapt." As Varric spoke, Jax found himself leaning closer, captivated by this tale of resilience and defiance against tyranny. While the Delpins were busy conquering other worlds, Varric explained further, the humans were quietly building an army, not with weapons or ships but with minds. A flicker of realization crossed Jax's face as Varric continued to elaborate on how humanity had studied Delphin technology while under oppression, reverse engineering it all under their captors' noses until they were ready to strike back. What happened next? Jax asked breathlessly. The Delphins never saw it coming, Varric said darkly. One day, all across their empire, on Earth and beyond, the slaves rose up. He described how insurrections swept through Delphin-controlled worlds like wildfire, how human ingenuity dismantled empires from within using technology meant to subjugate them. In less than 5 years, Varric concluded solemnly, the Delphin Empire collapsed, and no one dared challenge humanity again. Stunned silence enveloped Jax as he absorbed this information. Disbelief mingled with awe at what humanity had accomplished against overwhelming odds. But they're just one species, Jax protested weakly. Varric raised a hand to silence him before continuing with conviction. Because the Delphins weren't alone in underestimating them, he warned gravely. After their fall, Varric recounted, others tried too. The Rick, Murines, even the Zolker consortium, all failed miserably. He leaned closer once more. Urgency laced his words as he imparted wisdom, learned through countless encounters across galaxies. Humans are unpredictable, Varric said firmly. You never know what they'll do next. And if you kill one. His voice trailed off ominously before finishing softly yet powerfully. They'll find out. Jax's eyes darted nervously around the bar, fear creeping into his demeanor as reality settled in around him. So what are you saying? He stammered finally, his voice barely above a whisper. Varric smiled darkly, satisfaction gleaming in his eyes as he delivered his final verdict. I'm saying they're not worth the risk. No assassin, he declared emphatically, no mercenary or killer with any sense will take a contract on a human, because if you do, you're not just facing one, you're facing all of them. And trust me, Varric added ominously, leaning back once more into shadows cast by flickering lights above them. They won't stop until you're dust. As silence enveloped them once more, a heavy weight settling over both men, Jax sat stunned, absorbing every word spoken by this seasoned assassin whose life had been shaped by encounters far beyond what most could comprehend. With that thought lingering heavily between them like an unspoken truth, Varric stood up abruptly, tossing several credits onto their table without another word exchanged between them before walking out into darkness beyond those tavern doors, leaving behind nothing but echoes reverberating through time itself. The rise of the Del Empire. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, where stars twinkled like distant memories, there existed a formidable force known as the Del Empire. It was a time of great ambition and ruthless conquest. The Delphins were a technologically advanced species, their ships sleek and powerful, capable of traversing the cosmos with ease. They were known for their cold efficiency and a singular goal: to expand their empire at any cost. The Del Empire began its rise by conquering neighboring systems, each victory fueling their insatiable hunger for power. They enslaved entire civilizations, stripping them of resources and imposing their will without mercy. The tales of their conquests spread like wildfire, instilling fear across the galaxy. Many species trembled at the mere mention of the Delphins, believing them to be invincible. Targeting Earth. As the Del Empire's reach extended, they set their sights on a small blue planet nestled in a remote corner of the Sol system. Earth. To them, it appeared as an easy target. The inhabitants were primitive by galactic standards, still grappling with their own internal conflicts and technological limitations. The Delphins believed that subjugating Earth would be a swift and simple endeavor. However, they underestimated humanity's spirit. While humans may have seemed weak and divided, they possessed an unyielding determination that had been forged through centuries of struggle and survival. As the Delphins prepared for invasion, humanity was blissfully unaware of the impending storm. The initial invasion. When the Delphins finally descended upon Earth, they did so with overwhelming force. Their ships blotted out the sun as they hovered ominously above cities, unleashing torrents of energy beams that decimated defenses. Panic swept through human populations as they witnessed their world being torn apart. Yet, amidst the chaos, pockets of resistance began to emerge. Ordinary people banded together to fight back against their oppressors. Armed with makeshift weapons and an indomitable will, they took to the streets, refusing to submit to tyranny. The initial response was chaotic, but filled with raw courage. Humanity's resistance. The Delpins quickly realized that this was not going to be an easy conquest. Humans fought back fiercely, employing guerrilla tactics that confounded their technologically superior foes. They used their knowledge of the terrain to launch surprise attacks and sabotage enemy operations. As cities fell and resistance grew more organized, humans began to adapt to their circumstances. They learned from their encounters with the Delpins, studying their technology and tactics while developing strategies that played to their strengths. Building an army. While the Delpins focused on consolidating their control over Earth, humans quietly began to build an army, not through traditional means, but through ingenuity and collaboration. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly in secret labs, reverse engineering captured Delpin technology. They created weapons that combined human creativity with alien technology. Devices that could disrupt Delpin shields or enhance human agility in combat. This newfound capability allowed them to level the playing field against their oppressors. The turning point. The turning point came when a group of human leaders united under a single banner. A coalition formed from various factions that had previously been at odds with one another. They recognized that survival depended on cooperation rather than division. With a shared vision for freedom, this coalition launched a coordinated offensive against key Delpin strongholds. Using intelligence gathered from spies embedded within enemy ranks, they struck swiftly and decisively. The human revolt. As word spread of humanity's growing strength and resilience, more individuals joined the fight against the Del Empire. The revolt ignited like wildfire across Earth. Cities once thought lost became bastions of resistance where humans banded together in defiance. The Delpins found themselves facing not just an army, but an entire population unwilling to accept defeat. Every street corner became a battleground. Every home transformed into a fortress as humans fought tooth and nail for their freedom. The collapse of the Del Empire. The tide had turned irrevocably against the Del Empire. Within 5 years of initial contact, what had begun as a seemingly straightforward conquest spiraled into chaos for the once mighty empire. Their forces were stretched thin as they struggled to maintain control over territories that had erupted into rebellion. The final blow came when humans launched a massive counteroffensive targeting key infrastructure, communication hubs, and supply lines essential for sustaining Delpin operations. As these vital systems fell into human hands, panic spread among the remaining forces. With morale plummeting and losses mounting, factions within the Del Empire began to fracture. Some sought peace negotiations while others clung desperately to outdated notions of superiority. But it was too late. Humanity had proven itself resilient beyond measure. A lesson learned. In those tumultuous years, many lessons emerged from humanity's struggle against oppression. Lessons about unity and diversity and strength born from adversity. As Varric had recounted in his tavern tale, humans were not merely mortals. They were survivors capable of rising against insurmountable odds. The fall of the Del Empire became a cautionary tale told across galaxies, a reminder that underestimating humanity could lead to dire consequences for any who dared threaten them. Conclusion. A new era. As Varric finished his story in that dimly lit tavern, Jax sat in stunned silence. He now understood why no one would take his contract on a human. It wasn't just about fear. It was about respect for a species that had proven time and again its capacity for resilience and ingenuity. The galaxy had changed forever after those events. Humanity emerged not just as survivors, but as formidable players on an intergalactic stage where alliances would be forged and conflicts would arise anew. But one thing remained clear. Any who sought to harm humans would face repercussions far beyond what they could imagine. A truth woven into the very fabric of galactic history itself. A spark ignites. The air was thick with tension as the first shots rang out across the streets of Earth. The humans, once thought to be mere playthings for the Del Empire, had found their strength. It began in a small town where a group of brave souls decided they would no longer live in fear. They took to the streets, armed with whatever they could find: makeshift weapons, old firearms, and an unyielding spirit. This act of defiance sparked a fire that would engulf the entire planet. As news of the uprising spread, more people joined the cause. They were ordinary citizens, teachers, farmers, engineers who had grown tired of oppression. They fought not just for their freedom, but for their families and future generations. The Del Empire had underestimated humanity's capacity for resilience, and now they were about to learn a harsh lesson. The coalition forms. In the midst of chaos, leaders emerged from every corner of society. They came together to form a coalition, a united front against their oppressors. This coalition consisted of various factions that had previously been at odds with one another. Old rivalries were set aside as they recognized that survival depended on cooperation. The coalition held clandestine meetings in abandoned buildings and hidden basements. They strategized and shared resources, pooling their knowledge to develop tactics that would give them an edge over the technologically superior Delpins. Each member brought unique skills to the table. Engineers designed improvised weapons, while strategists mapped out attack plans. Guerrilla warfare. As the Del Empire tightened its grip on Earth, the humans adapted their tactics to employ guerrilla warfare. They struck swiftly and retreated before the enemy could react. Small groups would infiltrate Delpin outposts, sabotaging equipment and stealing supplies before disappearing into the shadows. This method of warfare proved effective. It frustrated the Delpins who were used to facing armies head-on, rather than dealing with unpredictable insurgents. The humans became ghosts in their own cities, vanishing before they could be caught, leaving behind only chaos in their wake. The turning point. The tide began to turn when the coalition launched a coordinated offensive against a major Delpin stronghold located in what was once New York City. This stronghold was critical for maintaining control over North America and served as a hub for Delpin operations. The coalition gathered every available fighter and weapon for this pivotal battle. As dawn broke on that fateful day, thousands of humans converged on the stronghold, determined to reclaim their city. The air was filled with anticipation and fear. This was their moment to shine. The Battle of New York. The battle raged fiercely as humans clashed with Delpin forces. Explosions echoed through the streets as makeshift bombs detonated against armored vehicles. Humans fought valiantly, driven by a fierce desire for freedom that fueled their every move. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, they pressed on, each fallen comrade only strengthening their resolve. The Delpins, caught off guard by the sheer ferocity of human resistance, struggled to maintain order amidst the chaos. As night fell, it became clear that victory was within reach. A final push led by coalition leaders surged through the stronghold's gates, overwhelming Delpin defenses and capturing key positions. A new dawn. When dawn broke over New York City once more, it illuminated a scene of triumph. Humans had reclaimed their city from the clutches of oppression. Cheers erupted from every corner as people embraced one another in celebration. This victory sent shockwaves throughout the remaining territories under Delpin control. News of humanity's success spread like wildfire across Earth and beyond. It inspired other oppressed species throughout the galaxy to rise up against their own tyrants. The Del Empire was crumbling under pressure from all sides, a testament to human resilience and ingenuity. Lessons learned. As Varric had warned in his Tavern Tale, humanity had proven itself unpredictable and formidable. No longer were they seen as mere mortals. They had become warriors capable of challenging even the mightiest empires. The fall of New York marked not just a turning point in this conflict, but also a shift in perception across galaxies. Species that once viewed humans as weak began to reconsider. They now saw them as equals worthy of respect and fear. Conclusion: a call to arms. With newfound confidence and unity among themselves, humans prepared for what lay ahead. They knew that while one battle had been won, there were many more to come. The fight for freedom had just begun. It was time to take back their world entirely. The coalition expanded its reach beyond Earth, forging alliances with other oppressed species across galaxies who sought liberation from oppressive regimes like the Del Empire. Together, they would stand against tyranny, a united front driven by hope and determination. Part 4. The Aftermath of War. Rebuilding from Ashes. In the aftermath of victory at New York City, humanity faced not only celebration, but also daunting challenges ahead. Cities lay in ruins. Infrastructure had been decimated during intense battles against Delpan forces. Yet amid destruction arose an unbreakable spirit, a determination to rebuild what had been lost. Communities banded together in makeshift camps where survivors shared resources and skills to help one another recover from trauma inflicted by years of oppression. Engineers worked tirelessly alongside architects to design new structures that would withstand future conflicts while reflecting human resilience. A new era of cooperation. As humans rebuilt their cities brick by brick, they also began fostering relationships with other species who had joined them in rebellion against tyranny. These alliances proved vital. Knowledge exchanged among different cultures led to innovations that accelerated recovery efforts. Together with former enemies turned allies, such as rock warriors known for their strength or marines skilled in technology, humans created hybrid technologies that combined strengths from each species' expertise. The Galactic Council, recognizing that unity was essential for long-term survival against any future threats posed by remnants of the Del Empire or other oppressive regimes across galaxies, the newly formed Galactic Council emerged as an interspecies governing body dedicated to maintaining peace among diverse civilizations. This council comprised representatives from various species, including humans, who worked collaboratively towards shared goals, rebuilding societies devastated by war while establishing protocols aimed at preventing future conflicts through diplomacy rather than violence whenever possible. Facing new threats. However, peace was not easily attained. Remnants of the Del Empire still lurked within shadows throughout distant corners of space, biding their time while plotting revenge against those who dared defy them. Intelligence reports indicated increased activity among rogue factions, seeking vengeance on both humans and allied species alike, fueling fears that another war could erupt at any moment if left unchecked. Strengthening defenses. In response to these emerging threats, humanity took proactive measures aimed at fortifying defenses across all territories reclaimed during uprisings against oppression previously faced under Delpan rule. Military training programs were established where soldiers learned tactics not only focused on combat, but also emphasized cooperation among allied forces, preparing them for potential confrontations where unity would be paramount if survival depended upon it. A legacy of resilience. As years passed since those tumultuous battles fought against tyranny, the legacy left behind resonated deeply within hearts across galaxies alike. Stories told around fires about brave souls who stood up against impossible odds served as reminders that resilience knows no bounds when fueled by hope. And so humanity forged ahead into uncharted territory, not merely surviving but thriving amidst adversity. Determined never again allow oppression take root within their worlds again, while extending hands toward others, seeking liberation everywhere they turned. Part 5. A New Galactic Order. Rising Tensions. With peace seemingly established among former adversaries turned allies, a new chapter unfolded across galaxies where cooperation flourished alongside innovation, born from shared struggles against tyranny faced together during recent wars fought side by side. However, beneath this facade lay simmering tensions threatening stability once more. Old rivalries resurfaced between factions within different species, vying for power over newly acquired territories, while others questioned whether alliances formed during time's adversity could truly withstand pressures arising from newfound ambitions, now driving them apart. The emergence of new foes. Amidst these rising tensions emerged a new foe, a coalition known as the Ascendancy, a militaristic faction comprised mainly of former Delphin loyalists seeking revenge upon those responsible for dismantling their empire. Their ideology centered around restoring glory lost through defeat while reclaiming dominance over galaxies once ruled by fear. Rumors spread quickly regarding Ascendancy's plans involving covert operations targeting key leaders within Galactic Council, aiming to stabilize fragile alliances formed post-war. This prompted urgent discussions among council members regarding how best respond without provoking further conflict. Diplomatic efforts. Recognizing need diplomacy rather than warfare would ultimately yield better results. Council members initiated negotiations aimed at addressing grievances held by various factions, while seeking common ground where possible. These discussions proved challenging. Differing perspectives often clashed, leading heated debates, but ultimately underscored importance collaboration if lasting peace could ever be achieved. Preparing for conflict. Despite efforts towards diplomacy, it became clear Ascendancy remained undeterred. As tensions escalated, further skirmishes erupted along borders separating allied territories from those controlled by rogue factions, loyalist remnants. In response, military preparations intensified. Training exercises conducted regularly, ensuring troops remained ready should conflict arise unexpectedly. Unity against adversity. As preparations continued, whispers grew louder among citizens regarding possibility war looming once more. Yet, amidst uncertainty emerged renewed sense camaraderie among diverse species, united under banner hope rather than fear. They understood fighting back required not only strength weapons, but also unity forged through shared experiences endured together. Conclusion. Standing together, with resolve strengthened through trials faced together. The stage set for confrontation looming ahead. Whatever challenges awaited them next, they would face them side by side, knowing true power lies within unity forged through adversity. In this new galactic order born out struggle against oppression, they stood ready to defend what mattered most. Freedom gained through sacrifice made a long way, ensuring generations yet unborn could thrive without shackles binding them down again. A gathering storm. As the Galactic Council convened to address the growing threat posed by the Ascendancy, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Representatives from various species gathered in a grand chamber, their diverse forms reflecting the rich tapestry of life across the galaxy. Humans, Ruk, Murines, and others took their places at the long, oval table, each aware that their future depended on the decisions made in this moment. The council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. The humans, led by Commander Ilara, had taken a prominent role in these discussions due to their recent victories against the Del Empire. Ilara stood confidently at the head of the table, her eyes scanning the faces of her fellow council members. She knew that unity was essential if they were to face the Ascendancy and prevent history from repeating itself. The Ascendancy's threat. As discussions commenced, reports flooded in about Ascendancy's activities. Former Delphin loyalists were mobilizing their forces, launching attacks on outlying colonies and stirring unrest among planets that had recently experienced liberation. Their rhetoric was filled with promises of restoring glory and power to those who had once ruled through fear. Ilara listened intently as a Ruk representative spoke of skirmishes along their borders. "They are relentless," he warned, his voice deep and rumbling. "They strike without warning, targeting our supply lines and creating chaos wherever they go." A Murine delegate chimed in. "We cannot allow them to gain a foothold. We must act decisively before they can rally more support." Ilara nodded, her mind racing with strategies. "We need to counter their narrative," she suggested. "We must show the galaxy that unity is stronger than division. If we can demonstrate our cooperation and strength, we may deter others from joining their cause. A call for unity. The council debated fiercely over the best course of action. Some representatives advocated for immediate military action against the ascendancy, while others urged caution and diplomacy. Ilara stood firm in her belief that collaboration was key. "Let us not forget what we have achieved together," she implored. "We united against the Del Empire and emerged victorious because we combined our strengths. If we allow fear to dictate our actions now, we risk fracturing our alliances." Her words resonated with many in the room, but dissent lingered. A faction of council members remained skeptical about humanity's ability to lead this charge. The plan takes shape. After hours of discussion, a plan began to take shape. The council would launch a joint operation aimed at countering ascendancy propaganda, while simultaneously preparing for potential military engagement if necessary. They would showcase their unity through cultural exchanges and joint training exercises designed to strengthen bonds between species. Ilara felt a surge of hope as she watched her fellow delegates rally around this vision. They were beginning to understand that ignorance could be as dangerous as outright aggression. If they allowed fear to dictate their actions, they would lose everything they had fought for. Preparing for conflict. As preparations began for this united front against the ascendancy, Ilara took it upon herself to reach out to key leaders within each species' military command. She understood that trust needed to be built on all levels, diplomatic and military alike. Training exercises commenced across various planets. Soldiers from different species trained side by side, learning each other's strengths and weaknesses while fostering camaraderie. The sight of orc warriors practicing alongside human troops was a powerful symbol of unity, a reminder that they were all fighting for a common cause. Facing new challenges. However, challenges arose during these training sessions. Cultural misunderstandings occasionally led to friction between different factions. Some species struggled with communication barriers, while others found it difficult to adapt to new combat styles. Ilara worked tirelessly to mediate these issues, emphasizing patience and understanding among all participants. She organized workshops where soldiers could share stories about their cultures, creating an environment where empathy flourished alongside skill development. A catalyst for change. As time passed and relationships deepened through shared experiences, something remarkable began happening. Soldiers started forming friendships beyond mere alliances. Bonds forged through laughter over shared meals or camaraderie during drills transformed into something more profound. A sense of belonging that transcended species lines. Ilara recognized this shift as crucial. It was not just about preparing for battle, but also about cultivating an enduring legacy built upon mutual respect. The calm before the storm. With training underway and morale high among troops, the galaxy held its breath as tensions continued escalating around them. Reports indicated that ascendancy forces were amassing near key strategic locations, preparing for an offensive aimed at destabilizing newly formed alliances. Ilara felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She knew time was running out. They had to act before it was too late. Conclusion. Standing together. As Ilara looked around at her fellow council members, she saw determination etched on each face, a shared understanding that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. They had learned from history. They understood now more than ever why ignorance could lead down dangerous paths, and so united they stood, ready not only to defend what mattered most, but also ensure future generations would inherit a galaxy free from tyranny. Part 7. Understanding Humanity. The Prelude to War. With tensions escalating and skirmishes breaking out across various fronts, the Galactic Council found itself standing on the precipice of war once again. Ilara felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility weighing heavily upon her shoulders. She understood that every decision made now could alter the course not just for humanity, but for countless other species seeking freedom. The ascendancy had become increasingly aggressive. Their propaganda spread like wildfire, sowing seeds of doubt among those who had recently tasted liberation. They painted humans as ruthless conquerors eager to expand their dominion over weaker races, a narrative designed specifically to fracture alliances forged through bloodshed. A dangerous narrative. Ilara knew this narrative needed dismantling before it could take root further. She called upon her fellow council members once more, urging them not only prepare militarily, but also launch counter-propaganda campaigns aimed at showcasing humanity's true nature. "Let us remind everyone what we have accomplished together," she urged passionately during another heated council meeting. "We fought side by side against tyranny. We liberated planets from oppression. We are not conquerors. We are liberators." Her words resonated deeply with many present. They understood how vital it was now more than ever to reclaim their narrative before it slipped away entirely. The power of stories. To combat misinformation effectively, the council decided storytelling would play an essential role. They organized events across various planets where individuals could share personal experiences, highlighting moments when humans had shown compassion or bravery in times of adversity. These stories served as powerful reminders that humanity's strength lay not only within its capacity for combat, but also within its ability to empathize with others, bridging gaps between cultures through shared experiences. Building bridges. As these events unfolded throughout different worlds, something remarkable began happening. Individuals from diverse backgrounds started connecting over shared struggles faced during oppressive regimes. Humans found allies among those who once viewed them skeptically. Stories exchanged fostered understanding, while dispelling myths surrounding humanity's intentions. Ilara watched with pride as friendships blossomed between species previously divided by fear or misunderstanding. This newfound camaraderie became crucial in reinforcing bonds necessary for facing impending threats posed by ascendancy forces looming ominously nearby. The final countdown. With time running short, the Galactic Council prepared itself for what lay ahead. They understood confrontation was inevitable. However, they remained resolute in their belief that unity would prevail against any foes seeking to divide them. As Ilara stood before assembled troops readying themselves for battle, the weight of responsibility settled heavily upon her heart once more, but this time it felt different. She sensed something powerful coursing through everyone gathered there, a shared determination fueled by hope rather than fear. The legacy defined. In those final moments before conflict erupted, the realization dawned upon Ilara. Whatever happened next wouldn't define humanity alone. It would define all those who stood beside them too. This legacy forged through unity would echo throughout galaxies long after battles fought were won or lost. And so together they stood, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them head-on, knowing true strength lies within solidarity forged through understanding rather than ignorance. Conclusion. A new dawn. As battle preparations reached fever pitch, the galaxy held its breath once more, awaiting outcome yet unknown. But one thing remained clear: no matter what transpired next, they would emerge stronger together, united against adversity, while forging brighter futures ahead. In this new era defined not just by survival, but also compassion, they carried forward lessons learned along the way, ensuring future generations thrived without shackles binding them down again. And thus began another chapter, a testament resilience born from struggle, illuminating paths toward hope amidst darkness. A reminder that even in face overwhelming odds, humanity's spirit shone brightly, illuminating way forward into uncharted territories yet unexplored.